The fight tonight, the 9-5 Broncos at the 8-6 Chargers. Both teams trying to nail down playoff berth, and both teams could actually clinch this week. The Broncos could clinch with a loss. The Chargers can't. But either way, both could get in, and there is a scenario where by Sunday night, it wouldn't even be Sunday night. It would be Sunday at 7:30 because it's an NFC game on Sunday, NFC game on Monday. You could have all 7 teams known in the AFC playoff field with 2 weeks left to go. And the Chargers and Broncos in that cluster of teams that can clinch, teams that haven't already clinched who can. Denver clinches with a win.
Yeah, right.
They're in, and they have not gotten in since they won Super Bowl 50. Longest drought ever for a team that won a Super Bowl to get back to the playoffs. They haven't been back. Imagine that. And I wonder, would you trade a Super Bowl win for a decade of no playoffs?
Yes, I would.
I would.
I would. Yeah.
I would.
Right. I would too. I mean, 100%. There's no doubt about that. That's the ultimate prize. That's what you're playing for. So I'll take that every now and then for years. And, hey, they're back on the rise. They're not going to be going through any streaks like that anytime soon. Denver with Sean Payton, they're going to have a little bit more money to spend this offseason. They'll be out of the Russell Wilson contract issues, all of that. It's all on the up and up. Sean Payton's got that team. The players believe in. The culture's right. He's got his quarterback. He's got it all. And, Mike, to your point with the playoffs, and you see here on the graphic, if the Chargers lose tonight, then the Bengals, Dolphins, Colts, it's back wide open in that department there. It brings the Bengals back into play in a big way, which I would love to see the Bengals be in the playoffs as that 7th seed, just because it would be incredible entertainment to see that type of football. But
Jim Harbaugh's not going to like that.
Well, yeah, he's not going to like that.
There goes that relationship.
And then we're going to see about them tonight because they're real.
He's going to send Judge Judy down to your house with her gavel.
Yeah, right. She's going to run me over with her rolls. But the Chargers are reeling right now. I mean, let's be serious, right? From what we've seen over the last month, yes. I mean, right now the big question is, can the Chargers win a game if it goes over 20 points? That's what you're going to worry about. I mean, yeah, 17-14, 20-17, they might win. If it gets to 27-24, anything like that, can they do it? Can their offense provide enough plays? Are they going to be able to make this game tonight into that defensive low-scoring struggle that fits them? Because I do think there's a line or a certain point where it gets to this score, they can't go above it. They can't. What we've seen for the last 5 weeks is they got some good tricks and some good plays early on in the football game to throw the ball and move the ball. But by the time you get to the late second quarter or the third quarter, you go, they can't do anything. There's no counter punch. They've used all their tricks. And now Justin Herbert, who could throw the ball as good as anybody, can't find anybody open or do anything there. And their talent's not great at receiver, as we know, to go along with that.
The Chargers are favored in this when they're at home, 2.5 points. In week 6, the Chargers went to Denver and were up 23-0. And this was at a point where the Broncos had turned it around. They started 0-2. They've gone 7-3 since then. 9-3. 9-3. Math is hard. But the Chargers along the way found a way to go in there and win the game. I don't know how much of that still resonates now, but you know, the Broncos clearly are the better team right now because they have the better record, but that doesn't mean the Chargers can't complete the sweep. And it becomes important because let's say Chargers and Broncos end up 6-7. The order that you land determines where you go round 1. 7th seed is going to Buffalo or Kansas City. 6th seed is going to Pittsburgh or Baltimore. I think you'd probably rather be the 6th seed.
I agree. I think you'd rather be. Sorry, I thought you were going to say something else to add on.
I'm sorry.
I'm with you there. I think you'd rather be the 6th seed too. You don't want to deal with, I don't know. You might not want to deal with the 6th seed if Baltimore wins this weekend and then ends up being the number 3 seed in the playoffs. Then you go, oh no, actually no, we don't want to be it. So
that's where Buffalo lost 35-10.
Exactly. So we'll see. You just got to play. You got to try to worry about improving your football team and playing at your highest level. And with the Chargers and the way they're playing right now, yeah, we're all skeptical. We are. The defense is good. it's not as good maybe as I thought it was 5 or 6 weeks ago, certainly. I think the offense has something to do with that, like I always talk about. It's a lot of pressure on that defense week in and week out to kind of hold down the fort and make sure the other team doesn't get more than 17, because our offense, it's dicey if we'll get more than that. So that's a tough way to play that way. Now, here, the big thing to me tonight, Mike, and here's a question I'll just pose to you, to me is Denver going to be able to run the ball? And I say that because, like we saw last week, Denver was in deep trouble, and they were an inch away from going down 20-7 and looking like they weren't going to be able to pull that game off when Jonathan Taylor drops the ball. But I say that you can look at some games and correlation and go, when Denver runs the ball, they're a totally different football team. And I know that. I get that. A lot of teams are. But my point is they got a rookie quarterback. And if he has to play against the Chargers tonight and they can't run the ball, and now the recipe is he has to drop back 40 times and do that against Bosa and Khalil Mack and that defense, can their pass offense stand alone and win the football game against the Chargers? That's why I say that. And to me, that's the big question. And the Broncos' run game is middle of the road. It's a little bit all over the place.
And they do that three-headed monster approach, so no one ever really gets the hot hand, and they like it that way. That's the way Sean Payton did it in New Orleans all those years. Multiple different guys. Now, Alvin Kamara kind of overpowered the running back room eventually, but ideally he wants to have multiple guys, whether it's for game planning, whether it's just to keep from having to pay one guy a ton of money, whatever it may be. But you're right. You got to be able to run the football, especially against the Chargers, because the Chargers want to run and stop the run. And if they can stop the run, they can unleash Bosa and Mack, and then you have a massive problem as an offense is trying to pass the football. The trend here is diametrically opposed for both teams. The Broncos haven't lost since the game they should have won in Kansas City, but for the field goal block. They're 4-0 since then. And the Chargers were puffed up to 7-3. They are 1-3 since then. So teams going in two different directions as we get toward the end of the season. And, you know, the two of the games, the two lesser games at 4:25 Eastern last week, when everyone was focused primarily on Bills, Lions, and Steelers, Eagles, it was Colts, Broncos, and Bucks, Chargers. And both teams were on either end of what happened there, kind of, okay, what's going to go? And then one team just says, see you later. And the Broncos said, see you later to the Colts. And the Bucks said, see you later to the Chargers.
Yeah, they're definitely going in different directions right now. And can night be the night where can the Chargers, put the brakes on and stop their downfall? That's what we're going to see. But all the things we've talked about with their offense and everything there have kind of just come to a head here recently, where, okay, J.K. Dobbins is hurt. They haven't been as dominant in the run game, right? And now it's like, oh, wait, now they got to throw the ball a little bit more. And Gus Edwards is not the guy that's going to carry the load at the running back position and be a game breaker that way. And this is where the lack of weapons around Justin Herbert and the fact that, hey, Ladd McConkey is really good. Big fan, like no doubt about it. But in the perfect world, you know this, I know this, everybody in the NFL knows this. You want Ladd McConkey to be your number 2, if not maybe your number 3. You don't want him to be your focal point. We're organizing the pass game around him. He's not that guy. That's not what he is. And that's where they have issues. And that's where it could be interesting tonight, because Denver doesn't have Riley Moss, so that hurts them. He's a phenomenal corner alongside with Patrick Surtain, but they're going to play some man. They're going to play some aggressive defenses, and you're going to have some shots where you're going to go, wait, it's our guy versus their guy down the field, and there's nobody else there. Can they take advantage of them? Can they get open and separate? That's going to be a big part of this question with this Chargers offense, no matter who they play.
Dobbins is still on injured reserve after suffering the knee injury in the first half of that Thanksgiving week Monday night game against the Ravens, and they are a different offense without him. You want to wonder why the Chargers are 1-3 over the last 4 games. Not having J.K. Dobbins out there making a difference is one of the big reasons, because what's the formula Jim Harbaugh has constructed this year? Run and stop the run, especially without the high-end receivers who can take full advantage of Justin Herbert's talents. And look, I know they had cap issues with Keenan Allen and Mike Williams, but man, they just don't have enough. I mean, it isn't all that difficult to identify the offseason needs of the LA Chargers.
Right.
They need game-changing pass receivers, even if it's just only one, to become the focal point with Ladd McConkey as number 2.
Right.
That completely unlocks the passing offense next year. That's got to be their top priority going into the offseason.
Hey, they've won the season already. They've already won the season. He's turned things around. The Chargers charging is no more. We're not seeing injury and Dr. Needle being needed on a weekly basis to get the team to have enough players out there. They've won.
Dr. Needle doesn't help
I know.
get players out there.
I know, but then they trim the fat on Keenan Allen and Mike Williams to make big gains next year. But I think the majority of the work, what Harbaugh's done, boom, he already won. Great job. I don't really give a damn what happens here at the end of the season. He's changed it around. Now he's going to be able to get some of those pieces you talked about in there that are going to take them over to the top and make them another team where they're not just a fringe like, ooh, maybe they get in the playoffs. We're going to start going next year going, ooh, they got this guy. They got that running back now. Ooh, they got another guy on defense. The Chargers are a team that can make a deep run into the playoffs, and I don't think we view them as that right now. I certainly think the Broncos are the more dangerous team if they get in the playoffs with the way they're constructed, the Sean Payton game planning, and I do feel like they have a few more weapons at wide receiver to make explosive plays over the Los Angeles Chargers, and of course a damn good defense just like the Chargers too, but I'd take the Broncos defense over the Chargers.
Look at that graphic. Both teams are doing what you need to do in order to be successful in the NFL. Beat the bad teams and ideally be more competitive against the good teams. But if you just beat the bad teams, because there's so many freaking bad teams this year,
you're
going to have a good record.
Right.
You know, the whole Pete Rozelle parody has gone out the window this year. The bad teams stayed bad. The good teams stayed good. And we're getting down to some garbage games the last couple of weeks of the season because there aren't 25 teams alive for 14 playoff berths. You're going to have a small handful. And put the Pete graphic up again with the AFC playoff chase and the in the hunt because, we had kind of assumed that the Chargers had their ticket punched, and if anybody was going to fall off, it was going to be the Broncos. But the Chargers are the ones that are in the most danger right now. The problem for the Bengals is they lost to the Chargers, so they've got to finish
ahead of
9-8.
Yeah.
The Bengals need the Chargers to completely fall apart. They got to make up 3 games in 3 weeks. So the Chargers have to finish 8-9, and the Bengals have to finish 9-8 to get in. I don't know where the tiebreaker is off the top of my head with Colts or Dolphins, but of the 3, the team most likely to rise up out of those 3 is the Bengals. The best team out of those 3 is the Bengals. And it's as simple as this. The magic number for the Chargers is 1 from the standpoint of knocking out the Bengals. Not for the others, but for knocking out the Bengals.
And I don't know if that comes tonight, but they got the Patriots and the Raiders the week after that. So they have a schedule that's certainly favorable to think that they could get that 1 and end that discussion, or at least end the Bengals and not have to worry about, anything to deal with them.
I'm surprised the Chargers are favored. I mean, I know the Chargers won the last time around, but I feel like right now the Broncos have the better vibe, and that may not mean anything when it's time to go out and play, and maybe Jim Harbaugh kind of desperate to end this bad stretch and, facing the possibility of not making the playoffs. But I just feel like the Broncos have been clicking, especially you're talking about a short week when what did we see on Sunday? Again, close game, Broncos left their opponent in the dust. Close game, Chargers are the team that gets left in the dust. I don't know how much of that carries over. I don't know what the trends are, but that's a lot to process. And you could say, hey, it's good because we get a chance to get this bad taste out of our mouths, but still, that was a rough Sunday for the Chargers. And it could have been a rough Sunday for the Broncos, but they made it a rough day for the Colts. And we'll see how it goes tonight. This game was flexed in. It was going to be Browns-Bengals tonight. So thank you, NFL, for giving us a better game. Although it felt like when the flex happened, Chris, it would be far more impactful, that it would be kind of like only one of these 2 teams is getting in. We're now kind of at the point where we think they're both getting in.
Yeah, I think so, certainly. And I wouldn't be mad either way. It's an odd year, like you said. There is definitely a spot with football teams where we just fall off a cliff as far as how bad they are. but I also think it's going to lead to a better playoffs than we've had maybe in years past, where we could see very competitive, upset, really great games because, like we've said here in this show, again, the Baltimore Ravens, if they're the 5 or the 5 seed on the road, there's going to be upsets going on if that's what happens. And certainly if it's vice versa, where Pittsburgh ends up being the 5 or 6 seed and they're on the road. Yeah, upsets can happen. Sean Payton, the Broncos, upsets can happen. And, of course, even with the Chargers, that D and Justin Herbert, they'll still be scary to teams when they're walking into town. You know it's not going to be easy. But I'm with you, too. The Broncos have been playing, it feels like, a little bit better brand of football. I do think that, like we talked about, the Broncos' run game is big here tonight, certainly, because the Chargers, their pass defense, it's damn good. And it's not going to be easy on a rookie quarterback to deal with that all day long. But the Broncos, they continue to trust Bo Nix. He wasn't great early last week. He bounced back, certainly. He's going to be facing a lot of zone defenses like he did last week against the Indianapolis Colts, too. So we'll see where that goes. But they've found an explosive element to their offense along that, too, with Marvin Mims and Ville and Cortland Sutton and all of that, to where they've been pushing the ball down the field. I'm excited to watch this game tonight. And I really am. I think it's going to be physical, and I think we will see some big plays because of the aggressive nature of the coaching on both sides of the ball.
Hi, it's Mike Florio. Thanks for watching PFT on YouTube. Hit subscribe for the latest news and analysis from Pro Football Talk.